I don't feel no ways tired. I come too far from where I started from. Nobody told me that the road would be easy. I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me.
Much, much, much later.
Better thank a union member for the 5-day work week. You better thank a union member for sick leave. You better thank a union member for paid leave. You better thank a union member for vacation time.
So Kamala Harris recently spoke in front of a teachers union in Detroit. And in that speech, she said, we just got to get through the next 64 days. And everyone is saying that she took on the accent of a Southern black woman, which we know she's not a Southern black woman. She is from California. And I'm going to post the video here. But what that's called is code switching. Obama did it too. And they actually teach about it in human resources classes when they give classes for employees. What it is you tend to switch your personality based on the environment you're in, whether it's professional or you're around athletes. You'll change your tone of voice as well as your personality to try to fit in. It's interesting. You can look it up. It's called code switching, and that's exactly what she does. She's a chameleon, and she blends in with whatever environment she's in. It's pretty typical with some politicians.
Let's just get through the next 64 days. How about that?
All right, guys. So once again, we got to talk about Kamala's fake Southern accent that really should be offensive to not just black people, okay? Because she's trying to talk the way that she thinks Southern black people talk. But if you're from the South in general, right, I think she's culturally appropriating a Southerner, right? I think that black or white, if you're from the South, you should be offended by Kamala Harris, okay? She's pretending to be one of us, okay? But she's not like us, right, at all, okay? And she's being roasted for her obviously fake accent, basically by everybody.
Listen to how she speaks here. Watch.
You better thank a union member for sick leave. You better thank a union member for paid leave. You better thank a union member for vacation time.
It's like a Southern accent, it sounds like, Congressman.
She must have got the blueprint from Hillary Clinton. I don't know what's up with that accent. But, wow. I mean, even the union workers are united with us where they do not want this price fixing. The price fixing, it'll never work. Nixon tried it for a second. He realized it didn't work. It is Venezuela, Cuba, all rolled into one. She really needs to realign her thought process as far as business goes. The free market will always fix everything. And if she's watching, which I hope she is, just drill, baby, drill. If you bring back the energy sector, this problem goes away.
Well, look,
basically, Ari Hoffman's back with us to talk more about these accents. Ari, my personal favorite is the French accent that she debuted in France. And then she had to throw in that capital T, capital P, because you know she was thinking of les plans, like L-E plan, as they would say in France. But she tried to clean up her mess a little bit there anyway.
Look, I failed French for 3 years in high school. I don't pretend to speak it. I know better than that. What Kamala Harris reminds me of is she reminds me of that old lady in Airplane. Oh, stewardess, I speak jive, right? That's Kamala Harris.
Oh, yes.
Or maybe it's Robert Downey Jr.'s character in Tropic Thunder, you know, who's pretending to be black. That seems to be her mantra. She thinks that this is going to earn her points. Maybe she should ask Hillary Clinton how that worked out for her. Voters like authenticity. They don't like cringe-worthy moments, and they don't like being spoken down to. Like that moment when she spoke to a bunch of high school kids like they were in kindergarten. It just shows she doesn't know how to talk to kids, which may explain why her stepdaughter is the way she is, you know, a Hamas supporter. But at the end of the day, this authenticity is not this non-authentic nature of hers is not going to win over voters. In fact, what it's going to do is alienate more people, because the more people hear her trying to be like that, hear her putting on these fake accents, the more they see through her on every single policy plan and everything else that she does.
Using these during only very specific scenarios, using these Southern accents, these very very foghorn leghorn accents, right? Like put upon accents that are totally unnatural and is not the way that she speaks at like a NATO summit, right? With Jan Stoltenberg.
Right.
What does this say to you?
Well, it's actually kind of racist if you think about it. I mean, like, that's the thing. I think the biggest racism, the biggest sexism is actually with the radical left. And it's dangerous because it's so subcutaneous. It's so under the surface, right? And it's an act. She's from California. Like, she grew up in Canada. She's from California. They don't talk like that. You know, in my district, there are people that have lots of different accents, Southern included, depending on what town you're from. That's all perfectly normal, but not in her line of work, not in her job, not where she grew up. I mean, I say y'all, that's about as Southern as I get. I've lived all over the country. And it's just bizarre. And I think it's racist. Honestly, it's just the strangest thing.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that, okay? So you have everybody kind of sounding off on Kamala Harris and her fake Southern accent, okay? And Peter Doocy decided to ask Cringe Jean-Pierre about Kamala's fake Southern accent, and Cringe Jean-Pierre lost her mind immediately, almost as if she knows that this is not a subject that is favorable for her to talk about, because Kamala is so obviously fake. Take a look.
A different topic. Since when does the Vice President have what sounds like a Southern accent?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well,
I mean, this is...
She was talking about unions in Detroit using one tone of voice.
Is this something that
same
you think...
line.
Okay, Peter.
That she used the same line in Pittsburgh, and it sounded like she at least had some kind of a Southern drawl.
I mean, do you hear the question that you're... I mean, do you think Americans seriously think that this is an important question? They care... You know what they care about? They care about the economy. They care about lowering costs. They care about health care. That's what Americans care about.
So
that's what they want to hear.
This is something...
They care about, your colleague just asked me about what basically we talked about, went back and forth about democracy and freedom. That's what they care about. I'm not even going to entertain some question about the president. It's just hearing it sounds so ridiculous.
Well, but hearing it is...
The question I'm talking about, the question is just insane.
Is that how she talks in meetings here?
I'm just... Peter, we're moving on. We're still moving around. Go ahead, Anita.
Thanks. Starting with Ukraine and this recent attack.
Yeah, so I love how Democrats and the liberal media always love to try to tell Republicans what we should and should not be talking about when it comes to criticisms of Kamala Harris, right? Notice how when you criticize Kamala Harris in a way that lands, right, the first thing they do is say, oh no, you shouldn't do that. You should talk about Kamala Harris not actually being black. You should talk about Kamala Harris's fake accent. You should talk about Kamala Harris being fake, right? This is what they do, right? You should call Kamala Harris DEI. This is how I've kind of figured out which attacks are effective and which ones are not, right? If the liberal media and the Democrats, the first thing they do is cry foul, right? When a Republican levies some attack against Kamala Harris, you know that the attack is effective, right? That this is a legitimate conversation to be had for the same reasons that people were having this conversation about Hillary Clinton, okay, who was doing the same thing, okay? She had a fake Southern accent. She's not from the South, okay? She is just another fake politician who was trying to pander to black people in ways that a lot of black folks, a lot of people in general just find to be offensive, right? It speaks of her authenticity, okay? And in Kamala Harris's case, it is a big deal because there are already questions about her identity and whether or not she's actually a black woman, okay? And that only matters because Democrats are trying to get black people to vote for Kamala Harris because she's a black woman, right? So clearly it matters to them, okay? So when you have that on top of the fact that she continuously does things like this that show that, hey, she's not an authentic person, yeah, it's a big deal, okay? The American people like authenticity. They don't like fakeness. This is one of the reasons why Hillary was rejected, not just once, but twice by the American people when she tried to run for president, okay? Because she's just not a very authentic politician, and people don't like that, right? People don't like that, you know? And there are a lot of people who are trying to defend Kamala Harris, some black folks out there trying to defend Kamala Harris by saying that, oh, no, this is not Kamala Harris being fake and phony and pandering the same way that Hillary was trying to do. No. Kamala Harris is code switching, okay? Because to some black people, they see this as a survival mechanism, right? Black people have to talk differently in order to survive around the white man. And it's like, no. What Kamala is doing and what a lot of people refer to as code switching are two different things, okay? Because what people refer to as code switching most often is a black person saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to a job interview. I need to speak proper English, right? I need to make sure that my grammar is on point. I need to be and act professional, right? This is what they commonly refer to as code switching, but I'm not trying to be a whole different person. I'm not trying to be somebody that I am not. I am simply putting forward the best version of myself in order to try to get a job. Now, Kamala Harris is not putting forward the best version of herself. No. She is trying to pretend to be a completely different person, okay? This is why she is changing her accent, because she's trying to make the people think that, hey, I'm black, okay? And that you should vote for me because I'm black. Because to her, in her mind, black people do not speak good English, okay? And they talk in Southern accents, right? There's a certain way that they talk, and that is what she has adopted in her mind as the way that you have to speak to black folks, which in my opinion is offensive. And the reason why is because she does not speak that way except around black people. It's not like she speaks like that in her normal everyday life. I guarantee you she does not talk to her husband like that, okay? However she talks to her husband is how she actually talks, okay? That's who she is. So it's not like she is speaking that way, okay, every single day in her normal life, and then, oh, well, when she's doing an interview or when she is, doing a job interview, she talks differently. No. The way she speaks in interviews, the way she talks, at press conferences around non-black people is the way that she talks every single day. That is who she is, right? When she gets around black folks, though, she starts to talk differently, okay? Because she's trying to appeal to black people. And it tells you how she thinks about black people, right? That black people are beneath her in regards to how you're supposed to speak to them, okay? She has to dumb down her speech, okay, and to speak a certain way in order to appeal to black folks. But that's not who she is, okay? It's not like she grew up in the South, okay, and she developed a different type of accent or dialect or way of speaking because she moved around often. No, that's not what happened. That's actually what happened to me, in the sense that I feel like when I was 15, 16 years old, when I was growing up in Eastern North Carolina, my accent in regards to the southernness of it was a lot thicker back then than it is today.
What people don't realize is that, and what you need to be addressed and what needs to be made clear is that greatness takes time. Rome wasn't built in a day. Earth wasn't made in a day. Nothing great is made in a day. Now I relate this to bodybuilding and lifting weights. You don't get a great body in a day. You don't. You know what I'm saying? It takes time, effort, patience. Same thing with video games. Well, actually, he didn't call him out. Alex Smith, the 49ers quarterback, got absolutely demolished by my boy John Beeson, the middle linebacker for the Carolina Panthers, over his recent comments about Cam Newton. So, of course, Alex Smith, who we all know is notorious for being pretty much a bust up to this year in his career as the San Francisco quarterback and former number 1 overall pick.
Yeah, so I don't speak like that today. And the reason why that changed is because I moved to a different part of the state. And as I grew up, the way I spoke changed because I was now living in a new location permanently, right? So it wasn't like my accent or the way I spoke changed instantly when I moved from Eastern North Carolina to the central part of the state. No, it didn't change overnight. In fact, that video that you guys saw, that is when I was living in central North Carolina, right? But as I got older, I got through high school, college, yeah, I mean, the way I spoke just kind of changed, okay, to what it is today, because I wasn't around people speaking the way that I used to speak all the time, okay? So the changes were because of a permanent change in environment, it wasn't because of a temporary change, which is what you see from Kamala Harris, okay? It just depends on where she's at. Boom, boom, boom. She has a different accent. No, that wasn't the case, okay? With me, it's something that developed over time because of a permanent change in my environment and the people that I was around. Even when I speak today, you can still hear some of it. It still kind of comes through a little bit. This is why, you know, with some words, the way I speak it's hard for me to kind of enunciate it correctly. Like, for example, oil, right? Or oil, okay? You guys make fun of me for how I pronounce these words. Well, that's because it lingers from how I used to talk as a kid and the people that I grew up around and how they used to talk, okay? And how they used to say things. Even when I visit my family back in Eastern North Carolina, I don't speak the way I used to speak because, one, I don't have the ability to speak that way anymore, even though my family makes fun of me for it, right? They make fun of me for the way that I talk right now because I don't talk the way that I used to talk or the way that they talk. They make fun of it, but I don't feel any pressure to speak differently or to try to talk the way that they talk. But how I talk now is just how I talk, regardless of who I'm around, okay? I'm not trying to have a more country accent when I'm around my family, okay? Or, you know, when I'm in this situation or that situation, if I'm around more white people or black people. Obviously, you know, when we go into job interviews or professional opportunities, yes, we're going to speak better English, okay? We're going to watch our grammar, how we enunciate words and stuff like that. Yes, those things will change, okay? But you're not trying to be a different person. You're trying to be a better version of yourself, because you're trying to get a job, right? And you want to present yourself in a way that is professional. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's a difference between doing that and trying to pander to people by playing off of stereotypes. And I think that is the problem with Kamala Harris, okay? The whole, you know, collard greens in a bathtub thing, okay? The faking a Southern accent thing, okay? The Kwanzaa thing, like, she's clearly, this is a part of pattern behavior where she's trying to pretend to be something that she's not, okay? It's not natural, right? That's the problem. And when you have somebody that is faking her life, that is pretending to be somebody that she's not, that calls into question everything that she believes, okay? Everything that she says in regards to policy now becomes questionable because we don't know what to believe, right? If she will fake her identity, if she will change up who she is based off where she's at, again, not in a way to try to be more professional, okay, or anything like that. No. She's doing it to pander, to trick people into voting for her, to make people believe that she's somebody that she's not, okay? That's a problem, right? That's a huge problem, okay? And one thing that the American people have showed us when it comes to the constant rejections of politicians like Hillary Clinton, who's extremely fake, is that Americans don't like fakeness, right? And this is why Karine, Jean-Pierre, and the left, this is why they're melting down over these attacks. They're boohoo-whining and crying foul because they know that this speaks to something that the American people have a very low tolerance for. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.